I want to try now to really let Alan Watt flow with this and break it down. Where should we start? At the end of what they're planning, or at the beginning, or their current operations, or this driving us off the land, or why are they moving on every front in hyperdrive? It looks to me like their system isn't in control, and they're kind of winning the race, but their Formula One car is starting to disintegrate. The pistons are starting to go out, smoke starting to pour from the engine. Or do you disagree? Do you think things are going according to plan?
I think really they're going to plan because this is the century for change. And what they're talking about, of course, is this totalitarian world regime. And when you go as far back as the United Nations and then the League of Nations, the precursor, they set up a department for agriculture, for instance. In fact, they set up a department for everything that you need personally to live, to sustain your own life. Because the world they said they bring in is one where the common people could not rule and guide their own lives. It would be done by experts. And all private property, eventually, and all foodstuffs and all water would be given over to these quasi-private organizations that are really, is what Carol Quigley was talking about in Tragedy and Hope, a new feudal-type system. These big organizations to do with food and all energy and resources are all part of one military-industrial complex. The United Nations, they said in their charter, one of their major speeches when they actually opened up the Department for Agriculture for the UN, they said that farming was too important to be left to farmers. And in other words, it was to be left to the big agri-food businesses. And that's what we've been watching for years now, as the big agribusinesses take over and put the small guys under with the help of government. Government's been taxing farmers, putting restrictions on them to do with pollution and all the rest of it, and gradually getting them off the land. In comes the big boys, and they take them over for peanuts. So it's going to strategy exactly as they planned it to be. This is the century of change, where everything in their centuries of planning will come to fruition. They think that's what they truly believe. And they're on a roll right now. There's restrictions coming on everything across the board right now. And we're being trained and desensitized and trained to just accept and go along with everything that's given to us. And whenever a panel of experts speak on the environment or whatever, we're supposed to just believe it like that, like it's the gospel truth. They are the new priesthood. This is the new religion. And we find that Gorbachev, in one of his own books, said, after saying that he was an atheist, he said, we are creating a new world religion, and it must be based on a form of earth worship. It's called environmentalism. That's what they're using, along with the purse, the power of the purse and taxation and fining, reinforced by government laws. So it's working and all tied so perfectly well together, meshed together, all at the same time, worldwide. Whatever happens in the U.S. is happening in Australia at the same time, for instance.
And this is not your opinion. It's all on record in thousands of public volumes. Yeah. They've been building it for centuries off the British imperial model that took from the Roman and many others, openly studied at the imperial academies, as you know. And they keep tweaking it and refining it. And people say, well, how can this go on for generations? Carol Quigley and many others explain that. How does a university go on for 500 years? How does a royal family go on for 500, 1,000 years? These are institutions that grow and expand and always fine-tune their science of propaganda, their science of feudalism, their science of serfdom. As you know, there are 2,000-year-old Julius Caesar manuals, 2,050-plus-year-old manuals on how to control populations that are very sophisticated, but nothing compared to the scientific sophistication now that we're facing.
And what we're seeing, too, is the incredible cohesiveness between all of these big institutions and so-called non-governmental organizations. It's a flawless web. They're all on board together on the same topics. And when you join one of these groups, you have to accept all the other groups' mandates as well, regardless. Put your own personal thoughts to the side, and you must be politically correct on every single topic today. It's total political correctness. And so you must go along with the environment, global warming, how they must restrict all our movements, all our travel because of global warming, etc., regardless of the NGO that you sign on for initially.
Continue.
And what they call it, too, is consensus building. They even have think tanks. That you're talking about institutions and how they can go on for centuries. Quigley said that. He said that if they set up an institution with a mandate, they can hire and retire generations of people, all working on the same mandate. So something that was started 200 years ago has gone on continuously working on the same mandate, its speciality, for 200-odd years.
And they install profitability. They use environmentalism as a tax to fund themselves. It's really feudalism.
Yes.
And then as they expand it, they're getting rich and more powerful themselves through each phase, almost like a coral reef.
It's incredible that there's a Google video up there. I have the link for it, where you'll hear Maurice introduce Baron Rothschild. And Baron Rothschild stands up at this World Climate Change Conference and so on, and says we need another bank to deal, that the public will have to fund by their tax money, by the way, but we need another bank to deal with environment. Well, of course, the bank's already been given a name, and guess who handles the money? It goes through Rothschild's private bank in Switzerland. About 8 or 9 of these United Nations so-called enviro banks are all run through the Rothschild's private
Well, take
bank.
Al Gore.
Yeah.
First, he denied last year in Congress that he was getting money through gore and blood, no pun intended, one of the big climate fencing companies, and then that's got N.M. Rothschild funding in the news.
Yeah.
First, he said it was all a lie. 2 weeks ago, we have the video. He goes, so what? I'm allowed to make money doing good. So now he just admits that he's going to get the money. I mean,
right.
we're openly paying it to him.
Yes, that's correct. This is a new feudal system. This is a feudal system. These are the new overlords who, with the collusion of governments, have given themselves the right to lord over the public. And as I say, they're taking over everything you need individually to survive and live on this planet. We'll have to go to them cap in hand for water, food, energy, everything we need. It's a new form of slavery.
Listen, I was watching a Maurice Strong video I saw yesterday. In fact, I sent it to you guys and forgot to play it, where he openly says in the 80s, I've gotten in trouble for saying everybody should have a license to even have one kid in the U.S., but I do think that's the right thing to do. They're on record. And in this meeting with Oprah Winfrey and all these world leaders, the Rockefellers and people a month ago saying, secret rich group meets to discuss reduction of population. This is all they're obsessed with.
Yes, it is. And unfortunately, as we know, with this odd situation that people cannot figure out, where governments bow to these characters, these private NGOs and foundations, and do what they're told, that tells you there is a parallel government that exists above the ones that we think we elect.
And they want you dead, folks. They don't even want to tax you and control you. They want you dead. It's the ultimate control freak, genocide, culling, wiping you out so they can inherit the New World Order promised land. Most of you listening, they're going to kill you. That's just a fact. We've got that link. We're going to post it up on prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com. I'd actually played this about a year ago, and I'd forgotten about it. I mean, there's so much evidence. It's daily where Maurice Strong's saying, all these horrible things about the New World Order and international bankers calling us cannon fodder, the population. Alan, tell folks some of the things that are in this video. You've also got it linked up on thematrix.com. Tell folks about some of the things they say on this video.
George Hunt has a business to do with environmental friendly products and so on. So he goes to these meetings for the environment where Maurice Strong goes and Rothschilds go. And you'll hear Maurice Strong on 2 occasions, 2 clips within that video, introduce Lord Rothschild. And Lord Rothschild comes on and basically advocates for another United Nations fund to be set up, another special bank to deal with the environment, one of many that's already there. And Rothschild, of course, you find in the clip, this bank they want to set up, funded by our tax money as penalties against the environment, will go through Rothschild's private bank, their family bank in Switzerland. So he'll be in charge of it. This multi-trillionaire doesn't need money, but here he is handling everyone else's money in the forms of penalization against the environment.